Hi there, I'm Sandy Allnock for Ellen Hudson with the United We Flourish set called Better Together. I'm calling my card Birds on a Branch. The stamp set is from Ellen and Hero Arts. She partners with a different company every month to do a great stamp and die set together. And this one has all birds in it, so I know a lot of you are bird fans. And this is a peek at the card that I'm making today. But I want to start by showing you the masking. I get a lot of questions on how do you mask an image like this with so many pictures in it, so many stamps in it. And what I did is stamp it once on white and once on the craft, so you'll be able to see the difference. It's easier to see on the white paper. And I stamped the first 3 images and I cut them out, just kind of general cutting out of masking paper, which is the Eclipse tape that Ellen sells. Then added the next row of birds, masked those, and then added the rest of the birds. So you work from the front to the back and just keep adding masks with each layer of stamps. So there you go. The ones that I stamped here are a little bit lighter ink. So I used a lighter ink to do it with. You can use any kind of ink with Prismacolor pencils. If you use a pigment ink, just make sure it's good and dry before you get started. Dye inks will dry much quicker. So there you go. I had the pencil line that was drawn on my original so I could line up all the birds so they were standing in one spot. And I didn't have the pencil line here, so I am going to have to add that later on when I get to that portion of the card. With coloring with my Prismacolor pencils, keep it good and sharp. Ellen sells a really great little handheld pencil sharpener that you can use, and all the supplies, by the way, are going to be linked in the description of the video as well as over on the blog. So you'll be able to get those if you need them. I use a really sharp pencil and generally a lighter touch so that I can build up color. But when I'm coloring on this Neenah Desert Storm craft colored cardstock, it's not craft paper, just so you know. Craft will work differently because it has a different paper surface. This Desert Storm it has a Neenah type surface. So if you're used to that for your Copic markers, it's the same surface on the paper. But on this, I actually end up using a little more pressure because you need to put more color down to compensate for that mid-tone that's already on the paper from having that brown color and that sort of thing. I like the look of pencil on this paper because a lot of your imperfections can disappear, because instead of trying to blend from a pencil color into white, you're blending from the pencil color into a mid-tone. And that's going to allow less difference between the ending of your pencil lines and the paper itself. So you're going to notice that it looks like it's better blended on here than it looks like on white. So tip for you, if you're trying to figure out blending and it's not working, try it on some of this cardstock, because you can get, you know, little packs of it, you can get full reams of it, but it's worth having in your stash because it makes for really good, easy, fun coloring. I'm not using any science to which birds get colored in which ones, except for I'm looking overall at the image to see how much yellow do I have, how much red do I have, trying to balance out a little bit across the image so I don't have all the red birds on one side and all the blue birds on the other side, that sort of thing. You can also go to Google and try to find birds that look similar to these and try to make the coloring match, but I don't think they're that kind of bird. There's a few of these birds I tried looking up to see if they kind of matched any exotic birds, you know, from Africa and stuff, places where they have really cool looking birds, and there were not very many that really matched very much, so I decided to just go whimsical. I even went with my white pen to try to pick out a few that would have white bellies and white beaks to sort of spread that color around as well on my paper, and just kind of give them some light light coloring, light touch with that. You can always add more pencil later too, so you can sketch in your color just to get your basic idea down and then go back and really finalize it as you get your coloring finished. When I got to the purple, I realized these purple pencils were a whole lot of fun. All the colors that I'm using here are going to be listed in the description and linked up, of course. But this purple was a really fun color. I don't usually use my purple Prismacolors, but these were fun. And I love the fact that these are like these crazy rainbow birds because they are just all the different colors. I tried to include as much as I could just to make it fun and playful. And keep coloring with the wackiest colors I could think of to do it with. And the purple probably made me the happiest out of all of them because I like how it looks on the craft. It's nice and bright, so I may have to do some coloring with just that color on some craft paper just to see what I can do with it. Lots of fun. The blue was a little duller than I was hoping it would be, but I think other shades of blue could have been brighter. So it really depends on which shades. You'll have to test things out. It's kind of fun to take a piece of scratch paper, just a little extra bit of it, and take all the colors that you want to use on an image and try them out and see how they'll work. I've used Copic markers on this Nina Desert Storm as well, and I had to actually color a whole separate hex chart so that I would see what the colors look like on this. They look very different here than they do on white paper. So if you want them to if you want to know what they're going to do, then test them out just to see. Now this bird I totally modified from the stamp because when I'm stamping with really light ink, I can actually change it. So I made him more of a fuzzy bird than like whimsical. I didn't stay a whole lot with the lines that were there. But when you're coloring over really light ink, you can actually change the shape of it. And you can change the shape of eyes. You can add extra little things to it. So here I'm going to start adding a few extras, like he's going to have a little bit of a mohawk, his little hair coming up from the top of his head. Give him some stripes on his wings. And notice that the more contrast you put in, the more things are going to pop. So as I go across with this black pen, you're going to notice a lot of changes as white and black are your contrasting colors. Everything's going to start to jump off the page and they're going to start to separate as separate birds as I add different details onto them. And it's important to make sure you have lots of contrast in your artwork because contrast is what kind of entices people's eye to look at it and makes them stop and take a peek at it. So this little bird is going to have a bunch of different colors on him. I decided to make him a red, black, and orange bird with maybe a little bit of white on him to add some other pop of contrast as well. And he's behind the other bird, so I have to kind of keep an eye on keeping the colors so that the other bird's feet don't totally disappear and get weird. Give that little birdie a little bit of a mohawk too. I think birds are cute with mohawks. You know, they don't have brushes, I don't think. Anybody ever seen a bird with a brush? So they can be messy little birds, although I suppose they preen a lot, so maybe they aren't as messy. This one I decided to just for fun see what a black belly would look like on a bird. I have no idea if there's a bird with a black belly, if that even exists. But that little bird has one. So now we know that birds can have black bellies. Inventing my own bit of nature here. A little bit of my own environmental addition to the creatures on the planet. So just about done with the bird coloring. And then I'll show you how I do the branch on this one because they have to have something to stand on. In drawing my branch, I decided I would take a ruler and just make a pencil line first with my brown pencil so that I could get it started. Now a branch is going to be thicker at the base than it is out toward the edge of the branch. That's just how branches work. They're heavier on one side. So I'm making it heavier on the side where the bird was stamped a little bit too high so his feet wouldn't be touching something. Don't want him floating above the surface. And then just thickening up the line as it goes out there to all of the little birdies. And then I put some extra branches along there so that it would look more like a branch and less like a weird line. So added a few leaves. You can also add flowers, all kinds of things to a branch like this for all your birdies to stand on. And hopefully the birdies all have their bird insurance updated because this branch is not going to hold them all. And I don't know if they know that, but there you go. I popped up my panel with a little bit of a black layer under one edge to give it a little bit of oomph. And that is my finished card. I hope you enjoyed this one. And if you want some more on how to use this bird stamp set, then I would go follow along with the blog hop. There was a blog hop a few days ago. This was my card in the hop, and you can check that out. I'll have a link in the doobly-doo in the description area below this video, and I'll also have a link to the blog hop, so you can check that out too. And I will see you another time. Have a really great day. Go make something beautiful. Bye-bye.